what is.
Are we live?
We're live. So much more space. Only 2 people. Luke Cadwell should be here.
Is he going to join?
No, but he should be here.
Why?
Because why not?
Fair enough. Guys, post in your questions and we will get around to answering them. So I'm going to wait until a couple more people join the chat before we start going through some questions that were sent in to us earlier on today. But for now, myself and Adam will just tell you a couple of things that we have coming up in the pipeline. Myself, Eoin and Adam, and we actually have Luke Cadwell as well. We are all attending the Swiss Symposium in Canada. I think that's next month, isn't it? At the end of next month.
No, not. Oh, it is.
It's September now.
Yeah, I'm thinking of James White.
So we have the Swiss Symposium coming up, guys. Do check that out. Eoin will be speaking at it, and myself and Adam are VIP attendees. So
we were actually personally invited by Ken himself, so looking forward to that. Actually, if you want more information on that, guys, Swiss SWIS 2018 has an Instagram page. He's putting up some great videos where he's summarising what the presenters are going to be speaking on and what to expect from them. So there's a lot of presenters. There's over 50 presenters in 2 days, one full day, 2 half days. So it's going to be great. We've been twice before, and from a networking point of view, there's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. They're all the best in the industry, and yet they're all the most down to earth people in the world. So from that point of view, just go to it for that. If there was nothing else, just go to it to get your name out there, to get talking to people, maybe to inquire about doing internships with them, maybe inquire, see what's going on, buy some of their books, whatever it might be, but you learn a lot from it. And
check out the lineup. The lineup is unbelievable. You're going to see some huge names there, and I'm particularly excited to see Marty Pasquale speak and Serrano speaking about everything you want to know about testosterone. So it's going to be, if you're looking to geek out, that's the place to be, guys. Adam, go ahead.
Other than that, we're selling somebody else's courses. Yeah. We should be getting a kickback. Other than that, next 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going back over to Portugal, and the numbers are good. We've got a bit more equipment added to the gym as well. That's on the 23rd to the 30th of September. So that's a 6-day camp, guys. If anyone's been before, just once.
For anyone tuning in that hasn't heard about the Algarve retreat, who's it based for? Is it for trainers or is it for general pop? Or
the crowd I have going at the moment all have a good training history. I know quite a few of them, except maybe 1 or 2. They've all got a good training history. Regardless, you don't need to be at a certain level. Yes, training history helps. If you're the only person that hasn't got a training history, I would make that aware. People do let me know kind of where they're currently at. I kind of have a creep at who's coming, to be honest with you, and see where they're at before I send on all the details as well. Just so that they're not feeling left out, or others don't feel that they're being dragged behind. It's quite intense, guys, as well. So if you're going from being a couch potato, this is not for you, because it's 2 sessions a day, 6 days in a row. Yes, all your stressors are taken away from you. It's lovely weather. Food is phenomenal. You just can't not get results in it. It's just so good of an environment to train in. So yeah, you wouldn't be a couch potato going straight to this, because it is quite intense. But then obviously the recovery side of things is quite high, because as I said, we take everything away from you in terms of stressors. We organise the breakfast, we organise the lunch. Yes, you go out for dinner, but that's just so that you have freedom. But it's 6 days long. We do a seminar on day 1. We do some assessments on day 1 in terms of a calipers assessment, just a skin fold assessment. And that's really it. If you have any information, let us know. We stay in a hotel over there. You've got the pool, you've got the sea. The sea is literally a minute walk from the gym, so it's phenomenal.
So I'm just going to touch on a couple of things that I've been studying throughout the week, and Adam, you can touch on a couple of things you've been studying on. But I have a paper right in front of me right now. I was doing a bit of reading earlier, and it was just on oral glutathione supplementation and when you should and when you probably shouldn't use it. But glutathione is an amino acid that you do produce endogenously in your body. But what can happen is, due to various types of stress or chronic illness, you can deplete your glutathione levels. So what I was looking at is maybe the potential benefit of taking glutathione supplementation over typically the precursors to it. So I posted a picture earlier on today, and it was a little kind of a quiz. What are the 3 precursors for glutathione? And the answer was glutamate, cysteine, and glycine. But
You give them, I only posted it.
I know. So, well,
if anyone gets it wrong,
tune in. Yeah. So, but what can happen is if you do have certain genetic polymorphisms, you might not be able to convert these amino acids into the tripeptide glutathione. So, glutathione can sometimes be the Rolls Royce. It is much more expensive than picking cysteine or glycine to something with, but it is one of your body's most powerful antioxidants in the body.
Why would you? What would give any signs and symptoms for somebody that might be low or deficient in glutathione?
So glutathione could be poor energy. One big one is actually premature grey hairs. So getting grey hairs at a young age is a big one there, So another thing could be just poor mood, lethargic, even seasonal affective disorder. There's tons and tons of things like glutathione. Should be ubiquitous within the body, but even liver, if someone has mercury enamel failings, or they might be eating tons of, let's say fish, or you're putting your liver through a lot of stress, it might mean you need to supplement or make sure you're consuming foods that do have the amino acids that do help with glutathione production. But have you been reading anything in particular lately?
I'm on doing the glucose course on Brian Walsh, so I've done the first 2 videos of it, and he's going in depth into the kind of the famous term insulin resistance that's being thrown out there, and how insulin resistance can be quite important to the body. Yes, it has its negative feedback, but it also can be quite important to the body. At night time, our body goes insulin resistant so that we don't pass out in the middle of our sleep. So it has huge benefits as well as it has some negatives. One of the biggest things everyone's talking about when they are talking about insulin resistance, they're just saying, it's caused by eating too much sugar, which is one of a number of factors. And I found that quite interesting of some of the other things that he was taking into consideration. So he was taking in IgGs, which for anyone out there, they're basically intolerances. So, if anyone's heard Dr. Serrano talk, he talks a lot about these. It's pretty much one of his standardized tests for somebody that walks into his office straight away. But the more often you eat food without any diversity, which pretty much is all of us, we're all creatures of habit, we can build up these IgGs towards food. So if anyone's eating the same food all the time, change it. The next one he was talking about was obviously food allergies, which is a similar talk. He's talking about dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is an imbalance in gut bacteria. So too much of certain strains and not enough of the other strains. So how we want to have that kind of equal balance of all of the bacteria. He was also talking about inflammation. And I think inflammation is so underlooked, and I don't think anyone knows what they're talking about when they throw that word out there. That inflammation, what does that mean? What do you think everyone's talking about when they're talking about inflammation?
It's a vague bullshit term for really not knowing what's going on in the body. So when you think about inflammation, you need to look at, is it acute or is it sustained inflammation? And then inflammation can be good or bad, and it depends on the situation. When you do a resistance training session, that you get an acute inflammation response, and you want that, because when you get inflammation or you get stress, you get adaptation. So in terms of inflammation, it has to be very specific. So why you may want it or not want inflammation.
And I don't think people are looking into, like what Robbie said, everything is inflammation really. So training, it causes inflammation, but yes, good inflammation and a small amount of inflammation. But
every time you eat a meal, guys, you'll increase inflammation in your body.
Many other factors that cause inflammation. You're taking any antibiotics, inflammation. You're taking painkillers, inflammation. You're taking Rennie because you're getting some heartburn or digestion issues, inflammation. You're drinking alcohol, inflammation. You're dehydrated, inflammation. And then when it comes to processed food, we see a lot of you could say fifth fam babes. Is that what we're going to call them? Fifth fam babes talking about, and that's fine for them because a lot of them, that's their job. Their job is to train bloody hard, and they get results. They can afford to eat these things, and could it catch up with them? It could someday. But when I drink something that's not really man-made, I get a bigger inflammation response out of that than the average person probably. And probably something like with Robbie. So the more processed the food is, the byproducts of that causes more inflammation. So don't just think of, oh yeah, it's only a small amount of inflation, fine. But that, in conjunction to dehydration, in conjunction to going on the session the weekend, in conjunction to probably not sleeping, and then in conjunction to a 40-hour, 9 to 5 working job that person might not have.
And the analogy I like to use is, imagine you've got a pot in the pan and you're gradually turning up the heat and that water's starting to boil and sizzle over. So the more information you have, the more that's sizzling over, and it could be okay having a treat meal here and there, or having a bit more carbohydrates in the diet, or having a meal really close to bedtime and impacting your sleep quality. But all these things will just turn up the heat and make it eventually boil over. But when Adam was talking about insulin resistance earlier on there, so with insulin resistance, you can have selective insulin resistance in the body, where your muscle cells might be insulin resistant, but your skeletal or your adipose tissue isn't insulin resistant. So when you see true insulin resistance, you don't see this big, huge guy. True insulin resistance would typically be when someone cannot get sugar into the cell. So it would look more like very little muscle mass and actually very low body fat, because they're literally starving tissue in their body. Now, guys, we're actually 10 minutes in and we barely got around to answering questions. So one of the questions we had in was, what are the rates of vitamin D deficiency you guys see with your clients? And for me, when we get any sort of testing done, so when you're looking at a blood test, look at 25 hydroxyvitamin D, I would say 80 to 85% of the people I see would have a vitamin D deficiency in Ireland. When I've spent time over in Dr. Serrano's, I've seen even higher. But I think the reason why I see maybe 15% that have adequate is because they're already supplementing with it, because they've heard myself or Adam or Eoin to supplement with some sort of vitamin D.
Welcome.
We've got a special guest, I think, now, running a little bit late. Eoin Lacey in the house.
He wasn't late.
Just finishing up with the clients.
But we were just talking about vitamin D there, and the question was, what are the rates of vitamin D deficiency we tend to see? And when we talk about deficiency, I kind of have a spectrum where we've got optimal vitamin D, high vitamin D, or suboptimal, okay, let's say insufficiencies, and then deficiencies. So for us, 85% even to 90% insufficient vitamin D levels.
Well, every time we test someone, we have a reason why we're testing them. So, unfortunately, the section of the population that we're dealing with, we feel they have a deficiency before we test them. So all the tests we get back are always going to be low.
And I was saying, generally, the people that we see that don't have vitamin D insufficiencies would be the people that have previously supplemented, because they've probably been to our seminars and heard us recommend before.
Yes, it's funny. I was talking to someone yesterday about B12. And when it comes to B12 and when it comes to vitamin D, when you take any high level of a B vitamin, you're going to cause imbalance in the rest of it. The same thing happens if you take high level of vitamin D. People don't address vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin D, and vitamin K. So it's important you take the whole spectrum of them. Brian Mulch has a fantastic course on mitochondria, and we talked a lot about it. Is one of the biggest nutrient deficiencies he finds is not zinc, it's not magnesium, it's vitamin E. And vitamin E is essential not only in the phospholipid membrane of every cell, but it helps the nucleus do its job. Vitamin A is crucial for thyroid function. You know all the benefits that vitamin D has, but again, taking vitamin D on its own or taking B12 on their own is not enough. You need to take the whole spectrum of B complexes and vitamin A, D, E and K, or DECA. As you got
DECA.
You got off Larry,
So we got a question in there, and this is actually quite interesting because I remember speaking to you a couple of weeks ago about this. So supplement with vitamin D once per week or every day. Now I had a conversation with you probably about 2 months ago about one of my clients who got her levels checked and they were in the toilet, like they were rock bottom low, that she was like struggling. She was struggling to do anything. And the RDA, or what was basically given to her by her GP, was 400 IUs a day for 1 month, and was told she'd be fine. And she was never rechecked after that 1 month. Now, 400 IUs is rock bottom supplement dosage.
I think for Dr. Vasquez's recommendations, I think it's 1,000 up to 2,000 international units for an infant.
Yeah.
So,
4,000. So the question is, once a week?
Once a week or every day.
So we're down through it.
So you want to go first?
So for me personally, I think it depends on the individual. I personally like to take vitamin D on a daily basis, but if convenience is an issue, I don't think there's a huge difference, in my opinion, from taking it on a daily basis to a weekly basis. So you could do kind of a higher dose, like 50,000 or 30 or 45,000 a week, and I don't think there's a huge change. But there's actually tons of research if you look into it on vitamin D and really high dose vitamin D on acute sunburn exposure. So that's interesting as well.
It all depends really. I'm a guy that forgets to take supplements all the time. So I've got 3 tubs at home. I've got 5,000, I've got 10,000, I've got 25,000. And again, like Robbie said, you know, it's kind of more the weekly total to me. Yeah, I was just away recently. I was taking high dosage over there as well, purposely because of that paper that Robbie sent me on. Other than that, you know, just I think Eric mentioned some. Was it at the NMP where that there's no papers on vitamin D3 toxicity?
Yeah,
but there's papers on vitamin D2 toxicity.
Yeah.
So people are throwing out there that you can get vitamin D toxicity, but if you're taking vitamin D3, you reckon there's no papers on it. So
you can have high levels.
Yeah.
Right. So the question is taking it once a week in high dosage is better?
Which is better?
Not necessarily better.
Right. So what I would say is, first of all, whatever people remember to do is the most important thing. So if they do it once a week, well, that's okay. Multiple times during the week. I honestly feel that the older the person is, the poorer their absorption of fat-soluble vitamins is going to be. I'd suggest they take it every single day. So a younger person, more robust gallbladder, more robust ox boil, hydrochloric acid, lipase and so on, they might be more efficient at taking a big load, a bolus dosage. But an older person, I would suggest they take, again, 2,000 to 5,000 IUs every single day in conjunction with vitamin A, vitamin E and vitamin K. So,
if just on that, just before we move on to the next question, because we're trying to keep it in a good time frame, if somebody is getting a vitamin D test, how long do you think they should come off their supplemental form before the test?
But this is the thing, vitamin D is a water-soluble vitamin, a fat-soluble vitamin, so we can store it in our body, so it's going to be around the body for a long time. Yeah. So it's very important when you're getting any bloods done is that you know how much you're currently taking. So for example, if I'm taking 5,000 IUs and I get my blood tested and I'm only at 60 or 70, I know that's not enough for me.
Yeah.
So, and what I will also say is there is a vitamin D gene mutation called VDO, which is really high in oil, that people don't absorb vitamin D that well, or make the receptors for vitamin D really well. And you'll see goose skin on the back of the arm. You'll also see increased skin on the heels of the feet. And that's all big indicators that there's going to be an absorption of vitamin D or essential fatty acid and fat-soluble vitamin deficiencies.
And like, last thing on that as well, like, okay guys, we're probably not going to get sun now for the next 6 months of the year, and vitamin D is strongly correlated with seasonal affective disorder, so it's just one additional thing to look into there as well.
Sep and Robbie were talking about the SAD diet, the standard American diet, and we have what's called the SID diet, the standard Irish diet, and I think it's grossly deficient in so many vitamins and minerals. It's too much high alcohol content, too much processed food, and one of the biggest things we find is when we see people's food intake, their dinner is always the biggest meal of the day. So again, they're not doing intermittent fasting, they're actually just from the time, their routines are all over the place.
So we got a question in here. What's your opinion on ashwagandha? I'm currently trialling it for anxiety and cognitive function. I'm using the type KSM66.
So ashwagandha, I've tried ashwagandha, holly basil, reishi mushroom, rhodiola, loads of different botanicals and herbs and glandulars to help with anxiety, depression, and so on. What I would say is anxiety, depression, nervousness, it's not going to be fixed by a pure botanical or a glandular. I think it has to be a bigger approach. So I think it's a good product that has worked for a lot of people, but I also look to try to help the HPA axis. So maybe reduction of food allergies, hydration, circadian clock system, getting better sleep. The B vitamins, guys, I can't stress how important B vitamins are in the diet. Particularly B6 is so important for neurotransmitters. So I would look towards that. I would look towards supporting the adrenals, some meditation, some heart math, some headspace. And ashwagandha, I've used it and it has some good benefits.
So what I would say to that is, just really quickly, I always kind of steal Victoria's approach on this, and it's the staircase approach. For me, I would start with kind of HPA, access dysfunction, blood sugar, adrenals, stuff like that. And then as I move up, I would think about chamomile tea, let's say maybe even having a bit of carbohydrates at night, but then up the chart would be 5-HTP and then even valerian and ashwagandha and stuff like that. But it's not something I would start with at all. I might even have it in a blend, but I would very rarely have it in isolation.
So Robbie, I won't elaborate more on that, guys. Robbie has a question that was sent in earlier, and we just got another question. If we don't get around to it, Sean, just drop us a private mail and we'll get back to it, because we do have quite a few.
Or we might even
thoughts
answer on the next one.
Right, exactly. Yeah, go ahead with your question, Robbie.
Well, my question was sent in, and it was a question kind of about the 4R protocol. So remove, repair, replace, and re-inoculate. But in the elimination phase, he asked, what sort of supplements would you recommend to add in through that remove or the first or what supplements would you really want to avoid? And one thing that comes to mind during the remove phase is I would always take away a protein powder. So I don't care if it's rice, I don't care if it's hemp, soy or whey, but I tend to always remove that and change it or switch it with some sort of even a branch chain, or ideally an essential amino acids.
Yeah, essential amino acids, fatty acid. So probably like an alpha omega or the omega complex from IPS.
Yeah.
Definitely add that in.
Yeah, 100%. You know, whey protein, casein, as Robbie said, dairy, pea, rice, hemp, all them out.
Well, like the whole point of that first or is to remove any sort of stress. So whey protein can be such a huge stress in the body, and like Dr. Sarno always says, what food in nature do you see that has protein without fat? You don't see it. So when you do consume egg whites, yeah. what does Sarno say? I've never seen a chicken shit an egg white.
Yeah.
So, you put me off there now. So what I'd say is, let's remove that and add in the additional amino acids, because you don't need to break that down with enzymes. It's already broken down to be absorbed through the epithelial tissue.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, guys?
No.
What were you, Thomas?
We're over.
Okay, so we're well over, guys. I apologise for being late with my last point. What I would say is try to send as many questions as you can. We're going to try and do these off the cuff as much as we can. Try to give us a bit of notice, but try to get the content out there and share as much as we can. So appreciate you guys logging on.
And lastly, guys, so November 24th and 25th, we've got the hypertrophy course on, which is 2 days. So we just spent the whole Q&A talking about nutrition, but the hypertrophy will talk about nutritional strategies for optimizing hypertrophy in the natural athlete. Yeah. We'll talk about hormones, we'll talk about recovery. Program design, recovery factors, what else?
Periodization of hypertrophy, periodization of nutrition, advanced supplementation for hypertrophy,
ESD.
Yeah, we go through a lot of it. We go through energy systems, not a lot of body composition stuff, that's more on the fat loss, but we do some energy systems particularly advantageous for hypertrophy.
There will be a fat loss course coming up. I usually discussing the dates during the week, so we'll get them to you. We'll do another one either next week or the week after. But just finally to finish off, 23rd to the 30th of September. I've still got a space left, guys, so hit me up if you want to come. If you want more information, I'll send it on to you. And yeah, that's cool.
And if you want to send in questions next time in advance for the next Q&A, send them forward and we will get around to answering them. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks. I hope you start.